With 50 Shades of Grey out now, let's take a look at 25 things you probably didn't know about the big screen version of E.L. James's erotic novel. In order to keep the 50 Shades of Grey script top secret, during early auditions, actors were asked to prepare a scene from another film. Jamie Dornan, who plays Christian Grey, chose a scene from the 90s movie True Romance, which was written by Quentin Tarantino. For her 50 Shades audition, Dakota Johnson read a 4-page monologue from the 60s psychological drama Persona, which was written and directed by Ingmar Bergman. Johnson's performance of this particular piece allowed the filmmakers to see she was capable of bringing to life Anna's emotional journey in 50 Shades of Grey. Jamie Dornan said the scene he most enjoyed filming was the first time that Christian and Anna meet, which the filmmakers shot over 2 days. To help them develop a believable mother-daughter bond, Dakota Johnson and Jennifer Ely, who plays Anna's mother, would chat on the phone while Johnson was on set and Ely was at home. The actresses found this particularly helpful, as most of Anna and her mother's communication takes place over the phone. 50 Shades of Grey was shot in the Canadian city of Vancouver, which doubled for the book setting in the US cities of Seattle and Vancouver in Washington State and Portland, Oregon. And although the story set in summertime, filming actually took place in winter. The filmmakers kept the details of what they were filming and were as quiet as possible. They did this to avoid roads and streets becoming crowded with onlookers, which could have led to expensive delays to their tight production schedule. Use of the title 50 Shades of Grey was banned on set, and in any correspondence or printed materials connected with the film. Instead, the crew used the fake name The Adventure of Max and Banks. Max is the name of E.L. James's dog, and Banks is the name of screenwriter Kelly Marcel's puppy. There were 55 locations in the movie's final shooting schedule. The Fairmount Hotel in Vancouver, Canada, doubled for the Heathman Hotel in Portland, Oregon, while the University of British Columbia stood in for Washington State University. Anna and Christian's first date at a coffee shop was filmed in the Gastown district of Vancouver in Canada, which doubled for Portland. Ladner Village Hardware, which is located in a small town about 45 minutes from Vancouver, was chosen to represent Clayton's hardware store, where Anna works while in college. When production designer David Wasco first met with director Sam Taylor Johnson, the pair discovered they'd each, independently, chosen the same photograph as a reference shot for the tone and look of 50 Shades of Grey. The photograph was by fashion photographer Helmut Newton, from his book White Women. Author E.L. James drew a floor plan of Christian's penthouse to help production designer David Wasco get to grips with the layout of Christian's home in the 50 Shades trilogy. 2 Vancouver houses built a quarter of a mile apart for entrepreneurial brothers in the 1920s feature in the film. To make sure they gave the homes the right look for the story's setting, the movie's design team researched upper-end Seattle homes. One of the homes was used for the exterior of Christian's family residence, as well as its foyer and dining room, while the second home was used for its glass-enclosed swimming pool, which appears instead of the book's boathouse. Sets were built for Christian's penthouse, including the living room, kitchen, dining room, his bedroom, Anna's bedroom, and of course, the Red Room. They concealed the sets by building them on stages, so preventing people from seeing them, and the whole build covered 3 stages. To create the look of Christian's penthouse, the filmmakers used as a point of reference the work of architects including Norman Foster, John Parson, and Hugh Newell Jacobson. Thanks to her background as an artist, director Sam Taylor Johnson was able to secure paintings by artists including Ed Ruscha and John Baldessari to display in the offices of Christian Grey. The work of many other artists also appears in the film, as does one of the director's own pieces. The most challenging and revealing scenes between Christian and Anna were kept till the end of the shoot, so the scenes in Christian's infamous Red Room were shot during the last 2 weeks of filming. Dakota Johnson wanted her reaction to the Red Room to be as genuine as possible, so the very first time she saw it was when her character Anna sees it for the first time in the movie. To heighten the impact of the Red Room, the filmmakers limited the use of red and black in the movie, except for graduation gowns at Washington State University's graduation ceremony. To make sure they got the look of the Red Room just right, production designer David Wasco and set decorator Sandy Wasco consulted the experts, in other words, dominatrices with Christian Grey type clients. One of the things they discovered was that leather is the best floor covering because of all the kneeling people do. Author E.L. James was also quite specific about the room's layout, and director Sam Taylor Johnson was quite particular about its appearance. For example, Taylor Johnson wanted the room to reference high-end stables, so the design team went for brown leather and wood equipment as opposed to the black often favoured in such rooms. Much of the furniture and equipment seen in the Red Room was custom made in England. To research his character Christian Grey, Jamie Dornan visited a sex dungeon to watch a session between a dominant and a submissive. A great deal of care was taken over the design of Christian Grey's clothes. The filmmakers discussed issues such as the type of cuffs, collars and lapels, the weight of the fabric and the amount of patterning. All but one of the suits worn by Jamie Dornan were handmade, and all of his shirts were also custom made. Costume designer Mark Bridges was very specific about Christian's ties, their thickness, their sturdiness, and of course how grey they were. All of Christian's infamous silver ties were specifically designed and painstakingly handmade. Costume designer Mark Bridges designed a peach silk and chiffon dress for Anna, which echoes an iconic dress worn by Faye Dunaway in the 1968 film The Thomas Crown Affair. Author E.L. James set a challenge for the movie's property master Dan Sissons for the scene where Christian and Anna share champagne after her graduation. James showed Sissons a photo of a pair of antique teacups she owns and asked him if he could find them or something similar for the scene. The cups are actually over 100 years old and the company that made them no longer exists, but property master Sissons managed to track down 6 identical cups which arrived on set just 48 hours after his conversation with James. Christian Grey has Audi's latest fleet of cars at his disposal, including the R8 sports car, the S8 sedan cruiser, and the brand new A3, which he gives to Anna as a gift. Although the latest model A3 wasn't available to buy until after filming ended, the filmmakers managed to secure it for their shoot. Christian's EC-130 helicopter, Charlie Tango, is the largest helicopter that can be privately owned and costs around $2 million. For the movie, the art department fully customized the EC-130, including its graphics, so they fit the designs found elsewhere in Christian's professional world. Sam Taylor Johnson directed the music video for Earned It by Canadian singer-songwriter The Weeknd, which features in 50 Shades of Grey. The music video features Dakota Johnson and the work of 50 Shades of Grey cinematographer Seamus McGarvey. Well, there you have it, 25 things you probably didn't know about 50 Shades of Grey. Now tell me, what's your favourite big screen adaptation? If you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe for more things you didn't know and weekly movie reviews and interviews. Thanks for watching. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!